Hey guys, welcome to the YouTube channel. And today we are going to create a tool for our MCP server. And that tool is going to be a reschedule booking and cancel booking tool. So it'll go hand in hand with the current tool I already made, which was the create event tool. So let's do that. We're going to do it together and we're going to go through step by step on how to do that. And by the end of this, you guys will have a full comprehension of how to get these things done. Um, so right now you're in my loom. You guys don't care about my loom. So what we're going to do is we are going to open Claude. And I know you guys can't see me right now because it's a little bit weird. Claude's acting weird. I don't know what's up with Claude. But here we go. We're doing this uncut, guys, so we'll see how this goes. Claude, we're gonna create a project. New project. Um, cancel. Uh, we're trying to create a tool for an MCP server. That, what does it do, guys? Well, oh, obviously. Reschedules and cancels Google Calendar bookings. This will be used in Appify.com paired with their Actors MCP server. Okay, so if you guys don't know what this is, the Actors MCP server, I'll show you real quick. Um, so what this is, Appify, this is basically the place where the tool is going to be available to you guys and just to the public in general. So the tool itself that we're creating, like I said, is the reschedule and cancel appointment tool. And to make that available to your LLM, like Retail AI or just anything really, ChatGPT, Claude, we have to connect it to the MCP server already inside of Appify. I assume you all know what an MCP server is. If you don't, an MCP server is basically the connection that bridges the tool and the AI agent. The MCP server is the middle part, makes the connection. So that's basically what we're going to do. And that's why I referenced it in here. So we're using the Actors MCP server. And guys, I am not, by the way, I'm not a professional by any means. I kind of figured this out just as you guys are right now. So we're going to figure this out together and we're going to think through this whole process together. I apologize if it takes longer than it usually would for like a quote unquote professional, but I'm just like you guys. So I think this will be a good tutorial for people who are like me, don't really know much. So since I already created the Google Calendar create event tool, I'm going to use that as a reference for the way my mouse just died, man. Okay. I'm going to use that as a reference for for this new tool. So we're going to go over here and we're going to copy my files. If we can copy all of them, if we can copy all of them, that would actually be great. Copy them at the same time. I don't think you can. I tried to do this before. Download source code. I don't think you can, but let's just see. So I download the source code, upload, run device. Yeah, no, I can't use it. That kind of sucks. So it looks like we're going to have to do this manually. We're going to have to copy each individual file. And we're going to add it to the project knowledge base here. Again, guys, the reason why I'm doing this is just so pretty much I can say to Claude, because I have a working one already, I'll just say, hey, Claude, use this working code that I already made, and then just add or change a few parts to um, to change what it's doing. So essentially, when I was making this, let me just go back to it, you guys can see me. Essentially, when I was making this, um, well, there's like three parts that go into it. There's the Appify code, and then there's the actual code itself, which is the actual like Google Calendar create event. And then there's like the storage and all that for the credentials. It's like the backend stuff that you need for the create event tool. So we can take the first part and we can take the last part and we can reuse it because it's the same idea. It's still using Google. So we don't need to start completely from scratch, or at least I don't. I apologize if you guys do. But my assumption is that you would just watch it, you would watch me create this, then you would just use this. So I don't know why you would create the exact same thing that I'm creating if you could just use what I'm creating. If that makes sense. Anyway. So yeah, we'll take the first part, the Appify configurations, and we'll take the last part, the Google Calendar configurations. We'll reuse those, and we'll just change the middle part, which is actually the brain or the main.js file that actually tells the code what we are trying to do. So that's pretty much the game plan. We might have to alter that a little bit because again, I'm not a professional. So we'll see, and we'll just adapt to what works. Okay. So now that we got the explanation out of the way, we're going to go ahead and copy this, copy all of this, put it in here. I already did that. I'm tripping, guys. Sorry. Docker file. We'll just name it what it is. And we're going to do that for all the files. I know you guys can't actually see me copy it, but I am. I'm copying it on the keyboard. You just can't see it. What was that file called? Actor.json. It's kind of a tedious process. At least there might be a better way to do this. If you guys know any better ways, please let me know. Because for some reason it won't let me just insert the whole file as a thing. And I know you guys aren't copying this yourselves. Um, I know you guys aren't copying this yourselves because you don't have access to this. So you can skip ahead if you'd like till I have it all copied out, but I figured I would distribute the whole process just because learning whatever. This one is under the SRC folder, so that's it all. You have to specify that it's going to be called SRC dash main JS because sometimes basically for all you guys who don't know the the main.js is pretty much think of it as the brain for the actual code itself. And if it's under SRC, the rest of the code needs to know where to find the brain and essentially where to find the code that it needs to run. And if you don't specify that it's in SRC, it won't know where to look for the code. So you have to specify that it's inside of SRC. Um, Get ignored. I don't know what this is, to be honest. But when I originally made it, it was in there. So I'll just keep it. Even though it looks like there's not really much in there. I don't know what it does. I don't want to mess it up. Okay. README, this is the description. So if you go into Appify like I'm in right now, you would go to the information tab. This would be the explanation on how to use that tool, the create event tool. Um, Actually, we don't need to input this because this isn't actually part of the code itself. This is just it's essentially just a how to use guide. So that's not really relevant. You guys know what I'm saying. And JSON, when I say .json, that's just the format of the code. This is in JSON format. So you would always do dot format. So it would be file name dot format. See, this is a file name main and then .js for JavaScript. So it's just different formats. These are JSON, JSON, JavaScript. Anyway, finally the package.json. And package.json. Boom. Okay, so reference the files. Files what is this called? Knowledge base? I don't really know, I guess. Project knowledge, that's what it's called. And the only reason, oh wait, no, it says right here. Okay, all right, so reference the files in the project knowledge. Um, and give me analysis on what the files are doing. So basically what I'm doing here is we need to make sure that the code actually understands or that we need to make sure that Claude actually understands what the code is saying. So if it accurately describes like what the purpose of the code is, then we can go ahead and tell it to use it as a reference to create the new tool. But first we need to make sure that it actually knows the correct usage of this. Otherwise, if it was the wrong usage, it would just be it would just use it as a reference for the wrong reason. Yeah, okay, so it looks like it got it. It got it correctly. Okay, okay. So now what we're going to do, now that we understand that it sees the code correctly, what we're going to do is we're going to, I'm trying to think because Claude, like a lot of LLMs, it has a chat limit rate, and I'd rather just start a new chat under the same project because even this, like even though it's not that much text here, I really don't want it to run out of space when we start generating code and we start having back and forth dialogue with Claude. So we'll just create a new chat inside of here just so we can have more space and we can pretty much just start fresh. So we know that Claude understands it. So now what we want Claude to do is we're going to tell it what we pretty much the mission or the goal that we're trying to achieve. So first, let me ask, is it even possible? Would it be would it be possible to use the code as a reference and create a new tool that reschedules slash Google Calendar appointments? So would it even be possible? Um, Let me just elaborate a little bit more. We, when I say reference, I mean that we would ideally use the same storage method and same configuration method as the, oh my gosh, as the project knowledge. I mean that we would ideally use the same storage method and same configuration method as the project knowledge. Um, the same Google Calendar. And I know you guys probably same Google credential storage. And I know you guys probably don't really know what I'm talking about here, but what I'm saying essentially is that what I explained before, we just want to reuse the parts that we can reuse and we want to make new the parts that we need to make new. And that I'm just specifying what parts that we would reuse and what parts that we would make new. Um, do you understand? Do you have any questions? Guys, Grammarly is a lifesaver. I cannot spell at all. Looking at your existing code base, I can see it's an Appify actor that creates calendar events with a nice credential storage system, including key value stores. I have a few questions. See, that's why it's good to ask, do you have any questions? Because if I didn't ask that, it would just take this, what I already written, and it would just produce an output, and it wouldn't get the essential questions asked or answered that it needed. So usually I would say, do you have any questions regarding the task? Do you want both reschedule and, or would you do separate actors? That's a good question, actually. For the sake of simplicity, we might just create separate actors. I think that would actually be the way to go because we don't want to overcomplicate it. And although, yeah, yeah, no, yeah, we wouldn't want to overcomplicate it. So we'll do one. We'll do one each. Rescheduling the tool. Allow updating other event. Um, should I follow the same pattern as your current? Okay, so let me explain one more thing to you guys that I came across. I'm only going to this so you can see. But basically when we create this, we need to have an idea of in our mind of what the user configures in their prompt and what we need to configure in the tool. And what I mean by that is we can't, if you think about, at least for voice AI agent use, and this is what this is kind of tailored towards, the user, the person using the tool, would say in the prompt, maybe like it would give it certain parameters, right? So knowing that, we don't actually have to include strict parameters inside of the tool itself. We just need to make sure that the tool is sort of flexible to those parameters that the user configures. I know that sounds confusing, but we're going to go through it. Um, but I just want to make sure to explain that because that alone cost me hours, lots of hours. So we're gonna go ahead and handle that right now. So this is what I mean, stuff like this, error handling, any specific error scenarios you want to be handled, like event not found, event already canceled. So stuff like this, the user can configure this within the prompt. So we have to, when looking through these, we have to think about that, what we actually need to include. So we don't need to include this because the user, like, they'll just say like for event not found, just they'll prompt it and be like, when the event is not found, come out with this response, right? So we don't need to actually configure that. Um, but for the other ones, I will answer those. So if you want both reschedule and cancel, um, we'll use separate actors. We'll use separate actors for each. We will start rescheduling. Should we start with the, we'll start with the canceling. Um, rescheduling the tool. Well, we're doing canceling, so that doesn't matter. How should the tool identify which event to cancel? Identification will be done via um, searching for events. Searching for events. Input email. Yeah, input structure will be the same. Error handling, event not found. Yeah, that we don't need to do that. We can configure that in the prompt. Cancellation should attendees be notifications. Low key just make it much more complicated because then you have to tie in their email, sending out the email, stuff like that. So maybe that could be another tool for a later date that we make. Um, no. Error handling and logging. Hmm. Let me just specify for user can configure that themselves of the AI agent. Um, yes. And the most important part, we need, let me just capitalize this. We need to make sure that this actor is follows the same integration method as the ref, reference wow, code. It needs to be usable with Appify, MCP, Appify actors. MCP server via URL. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, go watch my other video where I actually made the other tool or I explain how to use the other tool. So you could go watch that. I will link that right now or I'll put it in the description. So look out for that via URL. Set. So here we are creating the files. While it's creating, let's have a little chat. So with the file creation, it's not very accurate, to be honest. Well, it is accurate. It's more accurate than I would be. That's why I'm going into Claude and doing it. I found that Claude is much more accurate than ChatGPT. ChatGPT might be better now that they came out with GPT-5. But when I was doing it, they had like 4.5, and it was terrible. It was so bad. So that's why I've been switching to Claude. Um, so we're gonna run this code that it's giving us. Don't expect it to be perfect because it's not gonna be perfect, and we're gonna have to error handle, or sorry, we're gonna have to debug it a lot. And honestly, that's what takes the majority of the time. Generating the initial code, if you know what to prompt it, if you know what to prompt Claude to generate it, that's the easy part. But the most difficult part is debugging the actual code itself, which we will get into in my school community. The link is in the description. The rest of the part two to this video will be linked inside of my school community, and which is completely free, guys. Free school community. It's just free resources. So I will post the part two to this within the community, and you can go check it out. And we'll get into the debugging of the code and the rest of the code creation. So I'll see you guys in the school, and